doing the thing, you know.
Should we go through board business, or?
Can we move board business?
Yes,
Yeah.
Right, let's do that.
let's see, payroll sheets and bills are coming around for your review. We had draft minutes from September 4th. Lucia was very impressed that she came up with 13 pages of minutes for you.
Oh, do we have plans to sign, or they're all done?
Plans to sign, no.
Yeah,
No
I didn't
plans to
sign.
I didn't
For,
For the lot release thing,
Yeah.
that's right.
yeah.
I mean,
We can do that now. Uh-oh, mine's slipping.
it's,
Great.
With what we're asking her to do, it's,
yeah, just the first, I'll just send the one page around. And that's the lot release for Jones Meadow that you had voted.
If there was another one, what, so you wanted?
There was, but we don't have the paperwork ready for that yet.
Ah,
That was the lot releases on K Estates.
says bills and payroll, minutes of September 4th, 2019. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
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 Or
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. 21 budget process.
Yes, I had just posted on the website, the letter from, let's see, I'm not gonna come up with the right title. Cheryl, our new town, I'm gonna say town accountant, but that's not right.
Finance director?
Finance director.
Director of Finance and Budget / town accountant, so you're right.
Okay, so, about the budget process for this year. Going with a zero-based budget, which means we have to just give the reasons for the budget requests that we'll have for this fiscal year. I'll put that together and send that around for your review before it's due.
Well, so I had a question about that. So isn't this the opportune time to be able to talk about the kinds of dollars for any of our planning board projects, to kind of have that discussion and put them in queue? Okay. So I'm just gonna pass this down. Let me get a chance. So regarding the budget, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that there are a lot of different master plan items that have our PB next to them. And so I thought I would just put it out there that if we're looking at dollars for next fiscal year, which is July 20 through June of 21, given that folks on the planning board are part of those different projects, what kind of needs might there be? For example, what I just handed out to everybody was the roadmap, and there are things that I circled in blue that relate to the planning board that perhaps we might want to consider if there is work that we think should be done in that fiscal year. The other ones relate to, say, the train station area that Delisa and Ed are on, housing. Is there something else around the over 55 housing that we need to be doing? And then the open space TDR. So those are some of the things from the master plan that I think we want to at least consider and be able to discuss a little bit more, to put it out to the budgeting process. And in addition to that, something else that we talked about at our retreat, which was in terms of what type of staffing help Mara needs in the office. So I think we should continue to discuss that as well.
I got here early this evening, that's exactly the discussion Lauren and I were having in her office, with
Yeah.
staffing. So certainly something that I would hope to address as chairman.
Yeah, because Mark, I think you've noticed that sometimes the paperwork is late or whatever.
I know, like I'm a stickler about that.
My point was, when you notice things like that, you know.
Didn't we get 20 more hours?
We got 9 more hours a week, so I have one assistant at 19 hours a week, definitely at the department clerk level.
My opinion would be that we don't need somebody at the administration level, we actually need an assistant to the planner, not just an admin. And I don't mean to discredit an admin and the work that they do, but somebody that's an assistant to the planner would be a more vital role for the way this town is growing currently. With the amount of planning that's occurring, and in all the other places that I've worked, the planning departments are never less than 5 people in a department, so just talking about what I've seen in my experience elsewhere in other towns and cities. You know, I think we as a board and Littleton as a town ask a lot of our town planner, so I think that we should be looking at
So we
offering
should tell the powers that be, we need more money because we need a,
an assistant to the town planner.
Well, and we need to, we always had this list of orphan items that sometimes I would have an opportunity to work on and other times not. And one of them was affordable housing, now that we have the Affordable Housing Trust, and I'm working with you on that. I can see that there's a lot more we could be doing on that side of things. We have a lot of subdivisions under construction. There's a few issues with some of the older ones that we haven't had a chance to get to. Don't have a comprehensive list of everything that,
Well, we've got the Littleton Station plan that could use a lot of work.
right.
We got
have the
form-based code.
form-based
Right,
code.
form-based code, yeah.
And then all these objectives that Anna just outlined for us that I was
the
turned, that I was,
roadmap did.
the roadmap did, and Anna reminded us, along with our goal-setting retreat.
Right,
As
and
well as 2 funding requests from last fall that the town meeting funded that we haven't been able to get to yet. So in some cases, the funding is there, there's just no staff to
do
work
it,
on.
right.
right,
well, why don't we, one of the things we should be thinking about is, you brought up the housing. They have money, they could kick some money back to the budget.
Yeah, and I think that's a policy decision to look at. Do you, should the regular budget be supporting the staff, or should we look to augment it with other funds?
We can look at that, but outside of that, I think I'd like us to start with selecting a member or 2 members to actually do a informal survey of surrounding towns. Not necessarily similar in size, because our size might be smaller than most currently, but our growth in the Commonwealth is exponentially higher than a lot of other towns, either around us or similar in size. So I think we should be looking at fast growth communities and what their planning staff is like and what they project and what towns larger than us are doing.
I think we can all agree we should at least start with one. So
Right, but I think if we should have a supporting argument. We need to have that information to support the argument, so I would hope that, other than 2 members of this board that would be willing to just do a little informal survey of, let's say, each of the 2 members selected.
I'm
8
sure
or 10
Anna
towns.
would love to do it.
Well, I was hoping Anna would volunteer, and I was also thinking of you, Mark.
Sure. If Anna volunteers, I'll volunteer.
Okay. Would you be interested in doing an informal survey to that extent?
that's fine. I think that Lisa had also mentioned working on it, so.
Oh, then I'll get on.
Yeah, but what committees are you on?
He's on affordable housing.
I'm on the
Right,
affordable housing.
okay.
I'm 25 years here.
Oh, and so that gives you seniority.
That gives me
Ah,
seniority.
what about Jerry? What's he doing?
Jerry's already said that he wouldn't have time for any other commitments other than.
Well, this
planning.
isn't really, this is just to get a survey, call a couple of different.
Well,
towns.
because I like Anna, I'll work with her on it, okay? But you owe me one,
All right,
okay? All right? Don't forget.
I don't know.
So, and actually, this brings up a question for Nina. So, at one of the Board of Selectmen meetings, I think Anita brought up the idea that, or not the idea, but the fact that there is a database system that has information at different levels, and so that might also be helpful to at least get an understanding of what other towns have. So would it be possible to access that information?
Yeah, so Anne would have access to that database as well as possibly me. I haven't used it before, but it's a
You've got your
benchmark
hand.
survey. It's a benchmark survey for salaries and wages across the Commonwealth.
Right.
Whichever way you
So
go.
once we
I'm not-
figure out what's out there, then maybe
Sure.
we can cross-reference
Absolutely.
that. Okay, great, thanks.
Okay.
Not to belabor, but I think Nina mentioned that she had experience with a couple different models for how to set up, how different towns have set up their permitting and planning department.
Good.
Worth looking at.
Maybe we can get to keep some of the money we bring in, and that would augment it too.
General fund, sorry.
But I get to spend all the, we get to spend all the grant funds.
Yeah, we don't see any of that.
So in terms of us benchmarking, that sounds great. Maren, do you think it makes sense for you to take a look at the projects and lay out a little bit of an outline for us of what we might want to consider for the budget for the next fiscal year?
Yeah.
Because you're the only one who kind of has like the really big overview of those projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Where would we get information on what towns are growing fastest and comparable size? And, I mean, I know it's, the information's out there, but where?
The Mass Municipal Association, I think, has some information on the growth
Yeah,
in
and
towns.
I would imagine that Anne has some insight on the towns that the personnel, I don't even know what to call it, the survey that they do every few years, for comparable sized towns anyway. That won't key in the piece of the growth.
Yeah, I think there's
yeah.
information out
Yeah,
there that you can.
I'm sure it's
you-
there, but if
right.
anybody knows
Fastest
exactly
growing
where it is,
communities
it would
and-
save us some
I think
time.
if you just
Well-
type in fastest growing communities in Commonwealth of
Google.
Massachusetts, it'll come up.
I imagine
Thank you.
it-
Okay, I know how to use Google,
That's where you'll
okay.
find it.
Yeah, the data comment probably
Okay.
has.
So we'll start there, it's a good direction, and Maren will, as Anna suggested, provide an outline, projects and what we can do, and you guys will turn in an informal survey. We've still got a few more minutes, well,
Well,
we got form-based code, we're at 6:45, do you want to do that, or do you want to continue with board business?
we can continue with board business.
Okay. The Assabet Regional Housing Consortium.
Yeah, there's a proposed intermunicipal agreement that will be going to the Board of Selectmen. And I drafted a letter of support from the planning board. I posted that to the site, and I'll get there in a moment. Just asking for your approval, your support to sign, for Ed to sign that letter and send it off to the selectmen.
Well, and here's the flyer for the event that particular organization is putting on here in Littleton in a couple weeks. So I had a quick question, Maren. So the agreement said that it costs $350 to participate, and then is there anything more than that?
They can't see it.
Yeah, and then
They can
share,
zoom in.
then to share the cost of the consultant, so total is about $5,000 a year for a 3-year session.
It's about $1,700 a year then.
5,000 a year,
Oh, $5,000 a year
Yeah.
for each of 3 years.
right,
Oh,
yeah. And for that, we get the hours from the housing consultant.
Well, I have some
We
fun.
have,
See that, since
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
55 plus, you know, it might
We're all
be.
55.
yeah,
No, she's not.
I'm not
so
even,
the,
All right.
I had just,
I'm not even 50 yet.
You are? It's not the years, it's a mile. Can I ask my
Anyway.
question?
anyway.
anyway. So anyway, yeah, so there's a division of the hours. Each town gets certain number based on the amount that we're paying. We have probably about quarterly to monthly meetings, staff and often housing, what am I trying to say? So volunteers attend these meetings where we share, what we're working on in housing and get ideas from each other and some direction from the housing specialist. Nancy has prepared the annual monitoring survey, I had just forwarded that to Ed because there's some concerns with some of the units that were supposed to be added to the subsidized housing inventory that haven't been, and how we're gonna follow up
Right, because
on
that housing plan actually has to be updated
Right.
soon,
Well,
as in the next.
that's right,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a separate
So is that
issue. But this
something
is
she could help
this is
with?
the subsidized housing, this is the monitoring, the annual required monitoring that the town has to do,
Yeah.
but there is no staff to do it. So having this consultant is one way to get that done with a
So
specialist.
that kind of almost pays for itself then,
Right.
in terms of having this person.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely. So I found it to be a great benefit.
Right.
I had a question. Do you know anything about the, remember we talked at the housing trust about the commune, for lack of a better word? So we got the thing back that it's, the Guskowskis have sold their property for this. Do we know anything about that?
Yeah, I had to sit down with, I'm not gonna remember her last name, Victoria, one of the principals of the group, and they've hired attorney Doug DeShane, and Matt Blackham as a, for construction oversight. He's the same gentleman that's, overseeing the construction of the Workers' Credit Union building. No, not the,
Workers?
digital, the Workers?
It's
Okay,
Workers.
thank you, the Workers' Credit Union. So we had to sit down, and they explained what they're all about, and,
We received that in an outline in an email that you sent us.
Yeah.
That they had a long road ahead of them before they had an idea where they were going.
right. The application would likely be to the planning board under the senior residential development bylaw as amended, as last amended. One of the sticking points will be how to address the affordable units that are required. So that will be an interesting conversation.
It's gonna be more like a group.
No, it will be individual
Individual
for sale units. Some will be attached, is how they had the, sketch
No.
plan laid out.
As far as how they establish their condo docs is up to them. If that's what it is, or their, whatever documents they provide for the purchases of their units, that's up to them, but it won't be.
They actually had an information session last weekend.
I know I got the flyer sent to me. yeah.
And there were probably 25, 30 people there.
Yeah, it's an interesting housing model. It just, if the town is interested in, is able to permit through the senior residential development bylaw, the affordable housing piece of it is gonna be important to get squared away.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
Well, seeing how we're on board business, do we have any public input before we go into 645 zoning bylaw for form-based code, continued hearing? You have another item?
Well, actually, a quick question. Hey, Maren, the most recent U2 invoice, do we have that to
Yeah.
sign? Oh, 'cause I
Right in
didn't
front
see
of
You
it.
moved it, you put
Yeah.
that one over there, I'll
Oh,
look at
thank
it.
you, that was my mistake.
Yeah, there were two of them there.
Thank you.
Yep, and my only question for the board was, there was a charge for reserving a rental car that they didn't, that they used in September, but this bill is for before September? Did I
Right.
explain that correctly?
Right.
So
But we know
you can
they-
either pay it this month, or it'll show up next month
Yeah.
Why are we paying for a rental car?
as expense. Because we had a certain amount for expense for that's included in your travel.
They don't own a car?
No?
Oh.
A
Yeah,
lot
they
of
use Zip-
a lot of the Boston
They use
consultants.
Zip
Yeah,
car.
Zip car, yeah.
Yeah, Zip car,
Yeah.
I mean, they tried coming out on the train.
and getting back was the difficulty.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a reasonable expense amount, it's just whether we pay it in this month or the next.
All right.
Thank you.
645, continued zoning public hearing, a zoning bylaw public hearing, form-based code for Littleton Common. Anna, I'm gonna let you run with this one, seeing how it is in your wheelhouse.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure everybody got a copy of what I was going to quickly update everybody on. So at the last planning board meeting on September 4th, the planning board decided to delay the vote on form-based code because we received additional questions that need to be addressed. So with that, UTL has since updated the draft with some of the responses to the questions, but not all of the questions, because some of those still need a little bit more work. With the latest draft of the form-based code that they submitted on September 27th, their contract is fulfilled, but there still needs to be work on the form-based code to get it to Springtown meeting. So we have a couple of different options, assuming that we want to continue working with UTIL, and I think we've all been fairly happy with their work so far. The first is to take a look at their proposal, which is on the following couple of pages, to be able to understand that what we have worked through, and Maren has been working with us on this too, is that a couple of more visits to Littleton, as well as some site-specific test fits for the larger buildings that were of concern the last time around, and then preparing us for town meeting and then updating the code itself. They had put in some hours in there to actually have the presentation at town meeting conducted by them, but we think it's better to go ahead and just do that ourselves. So with that said, if we were to go ahead and do the work that they outlined in their proposal, that's about another $18,000. And two ways that we could potentially pay for it. One is there are some existing dollars. As Mara mentioned, there's some work that hasn't yet been finished. I think those dollars currently sit in the impact bucket. And then we also received a $50,000 grant, but we don't have all the full information on that grant to be able to say that's the money that we will use for this. But the big kicker is, in order to be able to move forward on form-based code for Springtown meeting, we actually have to have it completed and heard in January, because again, we have that 90-day timeframe.
Well, yeah, if we shoot for a January, good draft for January, then we're on track for making the Springtown meeting.
So when will we know more about this $50,000 grant?
Well,
What's the holdup there?
Just getting the contract from the state. So I was told over the phone that it will be split between this fiscal year and next. I'm just not sure, we're not sure yet which items will be this year and which will be next. Last time the town had a lot of leeway in how to expend the funds, as long as it addressed the issues in the application. I'm presuming, well, for contracting purposes, I don't want to presume it's the same, but
You were hoping.
yes, we're hoping it'll be
Okay.
the same. But if Anna has some direction from the board, if we have direction from the board, then we can go ahead and move forward.
Well, I have a question about the 13 grand for town meeting. If we're gonna do it ourselves, why do we need to spend that?
Well, so that would be essentially to prepare the documentation as well as be able to, to prepare the boards. So that would be a total of,
Where do you see?
Where do you see
13?
13,000?
7,000 there and 6,000 afterwards.
Stakeholders meeting in town.
oh, those are stakeholder meetings. So for example, one of the things that we had discussed was the fact that there are various stakeholder groups in Littleton, and that we have the opportunity to be able to meet with folks and share the form-based code in smaller group settings, be able to have their questions directly answered by UTIL, so that when they go to create the final version, all of that input is in there.
Could you give me an example of a stakeholder or a smaller group?
Sure. For example, the Littleton Business Association, being able to actually have a meeting with that particular group and all of its members, especially given the fact that a lot of the business members might very well have a business in the common.
Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do that when we had money to do it, you know? Why
We have money to do it.
No, this is over, we've already spent most of the 50 grand, right? This is over and above.
No, we had $41,000 and we eked every minute out of them. And in fact, Martin and I, once our time was getting close on conference calls, I'm like, okay, we gotta go. Because we know that
So we've only spent 41,000.
we have spent $41,000 and that was money that was allocated a year ago, correct?
But that's not of this 50,000. This
Right, we
No,
have
no,
50,000
this
is
is a
over and
brand new
above.
grant,
Right,
yes.
right, right.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think this gives us an opportunity to create a document that's as close to what we hope it will be with the time and the money that we have now. I would love to see it get completed, to a very good draft or, a perfect draft in January and try to get it on Springtown meeting, so.
I think we
I
definitely
think
have
the
to
group
get
that
it
you
on
mentioned and the
spring.
other groups that are out there that you can think of, I'd love to see just a list of who those stakeholders would be in small groups.
Yeah.
But I'm in favor of the 18 plus or minus thousand that you guys are hoping to use to continue. Absolutely. Listen,
So.
I'm your biggest cheerleader on this, so keep
Great.
going.
Well, and again, to the degree that we can get this to the point where it's agreed upon by a lot of different stakeholders in town, that's what we want to do.
Right, and again, education's the biggest part of it, right?
Right.
So the more people we
Exactly.
can educate to understand it, then.
And
more
also
beneficial.
hear their objections
Right.
before
If any,
town
yeah.
meeting.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I'd definitely like to see this
I think.
at
the-
spring
yeah.
town meeting.
And then something else to consider is, I did reach out to Jerry, knowing that he wouldn't be here, and he brought up a couple of really good questions that I think should also be added into this mix, so we'll discuss those with UTIL, or we can discuss those with UTIL as well, to see if we can get answers for them.
Would you mind sharing those questions?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I just got them today, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
But I think the big thing is wanting to keep it moving forward so that we don't get stuck and then realize, oh my gosh, we're in holiday season and nobody can meet.
Yeah, and the very nice thing about this is there's no new funding requests. These are funds left over to be used for master plan implementation.
Right.
The Master Plan Implementation Committee is very much on board with this process, and then to be augmented with the planning assistant grant funds that were just announced the other day.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I think the other question we had, Maureen, was, do we continue this hearing or do we close it and open a new one from a procedural standpoint?
Well,
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's up to the board to decide. I am always concerned with leaving a hearing open too long if there's any administrative glitches. If we don't happen to meet, if we pick a day in January that we're gonna, or whatever month that we're gonna continue this, if we don't meet that night, then we would have to renotice anyway. It might be cleaner to close and then notice a new hearing as we get closer, but
The only issue is that if you close this, you're gonna need a vote on it.
no.
Why wouldn't you need a vote on this if you're gonna close the hearing?
You've provided the direction that we'll continue to work on it and bring it to
Well, then-
Springtown meeting. So I guess technically you could vote on it, just say table it for further discussion, and with the plan to move forward as Anna has outlined.
Well, that's why I think you should leave it open.
We can, it's just,
Because if you close it, then you're gonna have to vote to continue, to keep going with it. If you leave it open, then you don't have to vote on it, you just continue it. Or am I missing?
yeah, that's possibility, yeah, that would work.
Carry on. Do we need to vote to continue it
To a date certain.
to a date certain? To our,
Well, we need a planning board date, at which we need to decide when we're gonna be.
in January?
Right.
Pick it. January 1.
Well, January 1 is a Wednesday, so that would be perfectly.
Yeah, but no, that
We
doesn't
can
work.
ring in the new year
Oh,
together.
God,
Jerry
because
can't-
Jerry
Jerry
can
can't
only
work
do
with-
Mondays.
No,
Wednesday.
Jerry can do Thursdays.
No, I thought he could only do Mondays.
No, he can do Thursdays, he just won't, he can't do Wednesdays.
Oh.
Mara and I had a discussion earlier this evening, and if we move if we move meetings back to Thursday, even though I work Thursday evenings till 7 currently, if we move the time to 7:30, I could potentially be here 7:30-ish on Thursdays. So I might miss the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ron will just move board business to the first agenda item. So
So what's the matter with Mondays?
Selectmen take.
Selectmen
Oh,
take
that's
this room
right.
twice a month, minimum.
Are you saying you would prefer Mondays?
Mondays
No,
or
I just
Thursdays?
prefer
work?
6:30. I hate 7:30. I mean, it's like, geez, it already goes so long, but, but it's fine.
Well, why don't we do it for 7 o'clock? We do board business and everything else we have to do when we try to put anything that we need.
Yeah,
It doesn't
push any
matter.
public
Heavy.
hearings till 7:45 or
So your
so.
chairman can get here? Why don't we just start at 7:30?
That's fine.
So we'll consider them a 7:30 agenda item in January.
Date? So, what do you want to
Ninth?
shoot for the first Thursday is the second Thursday is the 9th, third Thursday is the 16th, fourth
Oh.
Thursday is the 23rd, I am on vacation. Fifth
We can do
Thursday-
the first.
The
Second
second.
is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, no, not this, no, maybe the second Thursday.
So the 9th.
9th?
7:30.
It's a crapshoot who's gonna be here by that time.
Yeah, in
What's your husband
25
call
years,
saying,
we'll
"No,
still
we
be
can't do
hearing that. No,
I may
chairs
not
are-
be here, you know. I may try to be working on my tan about that.
yeah, you might be. Got a good one anyways. All right, so 7:30 on the
January.
9th.
All right, so somebody want to make a motion?
So I move that we continue this hearing until Thursday, January 9th,
In Shattuck Street?
at 37 Shattuck Street.
Do we have to tell the place now?
Okay.
So if we have to move it, then we have to post notices everywhere.
Oh, I mean,
That
because
we're
of the
gonna-
snow, or was this a snow issue?
No. So I got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Keith never made us say where it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even listening.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, Wellington Drive, definitive open space subdivision. There were some questions and comments. We have the applicant before us.
Good evening, Steve Marsh from Wellington Drive. Jim DeAugustine from Wellington Drive.
Gentlemen, nice to see you this evening.
Evening.
So we did a site walk last Saturday? It was just last Saturday. Feels like it was a month
I
ago.
know.
And we took a look at the work that the developer has done as far as water connection to the road, to the subdivision road. Preparation road base is in. Land clearing has occurred. They've removed all the stumps from the site, and they've prepped an area for their septic system. The only delay that they had incurred in this process was approval from Board of Health. So, have you received your approvals from Board of Health at this time, or are you still
No, we
waiting?
have not. I did speak with Rob Ansel, the attorney for Wellington Drive, and he was expecting it actually last week. He said he would touch base with him. I spoke with him yesterday afternoon, and he said he would touch base with Jim Gareffi, the Board of Health agent, to see what the status is.
But the question before us originally was, whether or not they had acted on their permit, their special permit that we granted for an open space subdivision. It's my feeling that they have. I'll take opinions from others. Hopefully we can continue to move forward.
So if I understand everything correctly, the condition number 6, which is around building the roadway, is being hampered because you don't have the Board of Health permit. Is that correct?
Yes. We were pretty much we're at a stall right now because in order for us to do this particular project, and I think if you go to one of the pictures showing where the leaching area and the,
Parcel A.
yeah, and the drainage is, we don't want to be driving over, no, I don't know, I think it's probably 5, I think. I'll tell you when this stuff.
61F. on,
Right there. So as you can see, the constraints here physically for where the work is, we want to start in the back and work our way out. So
so construct here before they do this.
we want to do the drainage, and then we want to do the septic, build the houses, and then do the road. So we're not driving over it, after the fact. It'd be almost impossible to get back there to do the work if we did the road right now.
So in essence, you're asking us to waive that condition, right?
No, I'm not asking you to waive anything. Our position is that our permits are still active. That's our position. It's the planning board's position that my permits have either expired, run out, because I have not acted on them. We have. So that's the issue. As far as we're concerned, we're still working there until we get a stop work order, which I discussed with Maren yesterday, or something from the board saying, don't work anymore. But as far as we're concerned, we had 48 months to do this project. It's not our fault that the Board of Health is delaying us. We're doing everything we can to expedite it. We're anxious to get to work. So that's pretty much where we are. Our position is that our permits are still valid.
So the permits might still be valid, but the condition hasn't been met, so.
What condition?
About the roadway, so I feel like this is gonna get a little circular, so you're
Well,
saying that you don't
it
wanna go over the roadway.
It says that we have 48 months to do it.
Okay,
So I still
So-
have plenty of time to do it.
okay, so you're saying that that doesn't have to be done at this point?
It's one of the conditions, but it doesn't have to be done before the septic system.
Okay,
He can do the septic system first and come back to the road. He can do,
I can go do the road now and
Okay.
then, ruin it, and then,
and then redo it after he builds the septic system in the 5 houses, so.
okay,
The delay, it's a sequencing issue that he's working on. He's just trying to sequence
that's
it.
helpful, yes. So, then I had another question, and this is a question that I think you addressed in an email, and that is the walking trail that currently connects to Cooper Farm, and we were able to walk it, so it's there, and it's wide enough to be able to walk through. And we talked a little bit about the National Heritage having a protection area right there. And it sounds like if anything changes on that trail and the town accepts it, that it's then the town's.
Town's already accepted it. You own it, for the easement over it, so.
Okay, so the easement has already been done.
Yes.
So if anything changes on that trail, it is incumbent upon the town then to go through National Heritage's.
They would have to file with
approval?
Natural Heritage, possibly, yeah, definitely Conservation, for sure. DEP they'd have to file with, and possibly Army Corps of Engineers, because we have a stream there. But that sounds like it's really a big deal, but it really isn't. I mean, I do permitting every day, so it's not.
And I spoke to Maren about this too, and she said dealing with National Heritage is not a difficult thing, and they're actually helpful going through the process, so.
Right, the mapped areas are simply show the areas in each town where you would need to coordinate with Natural Heritage
Okay.
on work to be done.
So that's where I guess I wasn't clear. I thought that particular piece of it was still going, that the easement had not happened yet.
No, we gave you a piece of property on Laurel, and we gave the easement over that particular portion for the town to access through Cooper, right through to us, over to Goldsmith.
Okay.
And I think if you go to number 10, Maren, it'll show where the trail is supposed to be.
Well, and I got to walk it, so.
Yeah.
And there it is.
So those were my two clarifying questions, because being able to make sure that we are in compliance is important. I did have one other question. It looks like, and this isn't ours, but I didn't know what the impact of it is. So it looks like Conservation Commission's approvals expired August 24th
Yes.
of this year. So what?
But they've been
They've been renewed
extended.
since?
Yeah.
Extended?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a copy of that if you want it.
Great, so those are my questions.
Steve, if you'll just, we can get that from the Conservation Commission, so thank you. So when I got a chance to walk it, I was thrilled to see that the trail was intact and walkable, hopefully at some point bikeable. It'll be incumbent on the town and the Trails Committee to do that. It was also nice that we connected up to Cooper Farm, and we could see the trails were being prepped and readied over there at Cooper Farm as well, so.
They're about 90% done.
Thank you. It was nice to see. It was a pleasant surprise when we walked up from one site to another to see that.
Both ways.
Yep, it was great, so glad to see it was there. So it's my opinion that their permits are still active and they're still in compliance with the special permit conditions. At least
I agree.
Okay.
I agree as well.
I guess I don't. I mean, I'm still going by Tom's letter, and your letter back, that stuff wasn't filed properly. That the times had expired. And that we should take a new look at it, because there are outstanding issues out there. If Conservation's still having problems with it, and Board of Health, why 4 years, 5 years later? It's been 5 years since you started this.
Conservation has no issue with the project, and now that, okay, you're saying that, could you please inform me of what issue?
What issues, then how come you haven't, why did you build it 4 years ago? Why is it, what's the delay?
My
then?
permit is good for 4 years, Mark.
If you filed
I-
everything.
I complied with everything within less than 6 months.
That's not what town council says. Town council.
You said, I'd like to see that letter, and my lawyer told me to ask you for that letter when, if you have it. So if you have it, you were supposed to produce it.
I don't believe we got in a written opinion.
I didn't think you did.
But I had a conversation with him, and it's up to the board to decide whether he has exercised the prior approvals. I would recommend a vote on it.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's another issue too. We would ask that if you're gonna vote on it, we want to extend this so I can bring counsel in.
Before you do that, can I take an informal straw poll then? If we were to take a vote tonight, would you support that they are in compliance with their special permit? Would you support that they are? I would support you with 3-1.
Okay, then we'd go along with the vote. But before you do that, though, I know that I had some conversations regarding the trail, and I know this is a give and take, and we're prepared to do some work on the trail as kind of just because it has taken a little bit longer. But again, this is stuff that's out of our control. We didn't have to do anything to do any of the work on the trail, but we would like to do that trail. You know, we would like, as long as the town or whoever, whether it's Rick Finley or somebody would file for the permits, and as I stated in my email, it's easier for anybody other than a developer to get permits. So if they did that, we would be more than willing to grub out and stone dust that trail and buy the bridge parts, if you can find somebody else to do the bridge. So we'd be willing to do that.
And in doing so, though, we do have to go through national.
Yeah, you'd have to, but I can assure you that, I've already reached out to them, I think I forwarded that information to you as well. And, you know, it's just a process, just like going through the process of getting my permits to build through planning. So that, you know, we'll extend that olive branch to, if it's, you know, if
Did
it's
you ever
acceptable.
file with Natural Heritage for all the rest of the land there?
It's all been
Did you
plugged.
get a determination from them?
I'm not doing any work there, Mark.
You
Yes.
put down that those are house lots could go in there. When did the
They're
original?
not, they're not in that,
That's natural heritage.
it's not in their jurisdiction.
All Natural
No, it
Heritage.
isn't. Not according to them,
Um,
it isn't.
Do they need
I pulled this tonight.
4 out of 5 votes? Because it is a special permit, so you really need to continue it till Jerry's here.
Well, we're not at a public hearing. Would be a straight vote at this point.
But it is a
To
special
whether
permit.
you believe
It's been,
It's an affirmation of a special permit.
no, it's,
well, if we're had to notice a public hearing,
Yeah.
it would have been, but we're not, I don't believe we're at that point.
So we're doing this informally, just whether or not we think
and
it's.
this is not informal, this is giving the developer permission to continue on.
Okay, you guys vote on it. You know, like I said, I voted against it the first time. I'm
So-
going to continue.
We'll do that. So I'll entertain a motion to state for the record that the planning board is supporting the developer in their opinion that they are in compliance with their special permit.
Second?
So moved.
So moved, sorry.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Me.
3 to
Thank you
1.
very much.
Thank you.
We will do that trail.
Good.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, if you can get with Steve, if you guys would get with the trail committee, or bike and
I'll
pedestrian.
reach out to
Rick, great.
Yeah.
Rick, if you don't mind being a contact,
I should, but I'll try.
let us know feedback, so, all right. 7:15.
7 o'clock?
Oh,
Well, it's not posted, though.
You're right.
back to the 7 o'clock, you're right, I'm sorry.
Or since we're after 7:15, it doesn't hurt to continue that.
Yeah, so before we jump back to the 7 o'clock agenda item, we got a 7:15, continued public hearing for Healy Corner definitive open space subdivision, special permit and joint public hearing with the tree warden for scenic road review at 195 Tahadawan Road, 17 lots. I would entertain a motion to immediately continue with no testimony.
To what date?
We need dates specific.
October 21st, if everybody's available for a meeting on that date, which is a Monday. Unless you want to move it to a Thursday at 7:30.
Aren't we on into November? We're already in October.
We're going to have a second meeting in October.
I'm good on the 21st.
So I move that we continue the Healy Corner hearing until Monday, October 21st.
Can I get a second?
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye. What time on the 21st?
We'll set it on the agenda,
Okay.
and the agenda's set, so.
All right.
Folks, if you're here for Healy Corner, there's no discussion tonight. Yeah, we don't have a full board, so.
Stand into that, Mr. Blade.
What's that?
Mr. Blade died.
We have a 7 o'clock now with the, we're taking no testimony on that.
Procedural question, not about that.
Sure.
If you list in the agenda, like you did, that you're gonna do that, is that a guarantee that it's not gonna happen, or there's a vote first every time?
Say it again for me, please.
It's listed in the agenda that it would be immediately continued with no testimony. Is that a guarantee that'll always happen in here, or is it up to the group to vote at that point, decide? Is it possible that the meeting still happens, or can we assume that that's valid, or that's always gonna happen? It's in the agenda.
If that's listed, it typically is what's gonna happen.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to show up, we'd know it's
We
not
wouldn't
gonna
have to show
happen.
up.
Right,
We
you
would
would.
know in advance.
We know that.
If it was gonna change, our planner would certainly reach out to somebody in any group that might oppose or be in favor, so you'd be informed.
That note wouldn't be in there unless we already knew it was gonna be
It was
taken.
one, yeah.
Right, and
It was on the
you can
agenda.
always call or email to ask.
So,
I saw
all
it
right.
before.
Next agenda item, 7 o'clock, Cooper Farm Estates deeded farmhouse affordable units. We'll give everybody a minute to vacate, so.
We have 3.
We have one chair, we have 2 members, right? Joe and Chuck, do you guys want to sit up front with us? Are you
Chase.
comfortable where you are? Chase, I didn't see you hiding back there.
Chase.
I didn't know he was back there, I didn't see him. He's so skinny now, I don't notice him. Okay. Wanted to extend the
We had
opportunity.
plenty of time up there last night, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Cooper Farm Estates, deed for the farmhouse and affordable unit conversation. How should we start this one? Because
I'll start.
I'm happy to give a little background if you'd
Go
like.
right ahead, Jennifer.
Just to start, Jennifer Platt on behalf of Field Development here with Matthew Field. Just by way of background, and most of you know this, Cooper Farm is a development up on Great Road. We worked with the town, starting back in 2015 and through 2016, on a host community agreement to develop this property as an open space development with a 55 and over component to it. There was a lot of interaction with the board, with the select board, and with the town to try to come up with a agreeable plan. And as part of one of the big features of that plan, this is a 34-acre development. 22 acres of that was given to the town as open space, and that gift was made over a year ago. And that includes all of the frontage of the property as well as a very large parcel of woodlands and open space in the back. One of the other gifts that we agreed to give to the town was the existing farmhouse. And in the host community agreement, we say that this is being given in memory of the Cooper family to the Littleton Housing Authority or Habitat for Humanity for affordable housing for a DHCD eligible family or such other public use as determined by the town, which is so long as it's not detrimental to the residential development. That for such other use was put in there at the request of the select board to give them some flexibility just in case affordable housing wasn't what they wanted to be using that house for. The house at that time when we were first approved was in just a derelict shape, filled with garbage, graffiti on the sides of it. The current resident wasn't happy about being asked to leave. So there's been a fair amount of work done to that house. It's still, it's not, I wouldn't say it's ready to go for a new family, but it's come from a very bad condition to habitable. It was used by a member of the construction team during the development process. That's something we had a discussion with the planning board up front about being able to have someone on site as a project manager as well as just to be in that house and not have a third party there while construction was ongoing. We delivered the deed to the property, to the town back in May. The issue that we're here to talk about is counting that house as an affordable unit. In the 55 and over component of our project, those houses cannot count as part of the Littleton affordable housing inventory because they're age restricted. The house up front can because there's no age restriction to it. It has been our intent from our very first discussions, from our original offer to purchase this property from the seller, was to have that be an affordable housing unit and to count towards our overall development affordable housing count.
That's where we are.
And that's where we are. A little more, just in terms of on the 55 and over, that is being developed. There is 6 units have been built. One of them is affordable. It is ready to be marketed. We have been working with the town and with our affordable marketing agency, MCO, to get the lottery package and the marketing package ready. That's finalized. That'll be marketed and put out for the lottery this month, provided we get sign-offs from the town on that. So that one's ready to go. The next unit will be coming up in mid-December. Construction goes according to plan, and then the next one, I believe, would be in January. So those are coming online, and we want to get those out there. The existing farmhouse, again, it's not move-in ready. We have delivered a deed. The developer is willing to put some work into that to help it, if you agree to use it for affordable, to make it ready to be marketed. We'd be happy to, put some sort of help there so it can actually be used and counted as an affordable unit sooner rather than later.
I mean, we've had vandalization done there now. The kitchen windows broken. Chuck was there this weekend and shut the door.
At the select board's request, we vacated the house, so it's been empty since.
We've lost $7,000
May.
a month. $7,000 since we vacated the property.
So now it's just sitting empty.
And we have to pay taxes.
So we'd like to get it used, either, preferably by an affordable, by a family for affordable housing purposes. That's how we'd like to see it be used. But if not that, if the town's not going to accept it, we want to at least get it rented so it's not derelict.
Chuck, do you have anything to add?
No. Matt, through the chair.
I made the deal with him.
I was going to turn to the select board next and see if you guys had any input, so if you guys have any questions or comments.
It was mentioned that you'd be willing to do some work around the house to make this go quicker. Would that also include external work around the house to make it more-
Landscaping?
Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna go through and rehab the entire house for you. That wasn't the
No,
intent.
I understand that, but I just,
We will absolutely, we own all our own equipment, we own the hydro seeder, we own all the power rigs. We'll clean it up and make it look,
because I don't want to speak for the whole board right now, but one of the concerns I have, we all want to make sure that that looks nice and that the fields stay in pristine condition and maybe be a field someday. One of the topics that's been brought up indirectly without a board would be to maybe have somebody in there who would take care of farming part of that.
we would like nothing more
I just
than
want to
that.
see those fields are starting to look derelict now, and I don't want to see
The
that.
fields
happen.
aren't looking derelict.
Well, non-use. Not your fault, I'm just saying, I'd love to see if.
Behind the house is derelict. It truly is.
Derelict's the wrong word, not being farmed.
It is being farmed though. I'm having
I
a
know,
conversation with the
you're supposed to have the conversation this way.
All right, the
That's
fields
fine.
are being hayed, they've been hayed and maintained by Mr. Pickard, who's done, I believe, 3 cuttings already. He's fertilized them and done his thing. But
So I want to get back to the affordable component itself and how that works out in his count for the development and what the agreement originally was with the town. If I can get any more input from, is there any other selectmen that want to speak to how it's structured? You guys wrote the HCA,
So
so.
Joe and I were on the Board of Selectmen when we wrote the HCA. There was, the only affordable units that we included in the HCA at the time were pertinent to the Goldsmith property, which because you took care of, I think it was the betterment that you paid outside of the HCA, so
Right.
that eliminated
That
the
eliminated
need for you to
that.
deliver those units to us. So there's nothing that ties the HCA to any affordable units from the HCA component. And at this point, the house is in disrepair. If the house isn't occupied soon, it's not heated, and, it's gonna fall in greater disrepair. And to Matt's point, it is being vandalized, it's pretty easy to get into, frankly. So I did stop by this weekend and made sure it was all closed up, and there was a door that was open, so I closed the door. But people drive by that every day, so it's, if we're able to figure out a deal where
I'll be glad to do that.
you guys can clean it up, and the hydro seeding goes above and beyond what I would expect, and I think that the board probably would expect, but if you're able to do that and clean it up so that and frankly,
It's
it
a
looks,
nice
it looks
house.
better,
It's a
it looks
good-
better for your development as well, if, the house at the corner of the development
We have
is.
1 lot left.
But you also.
I want it to look nice as well.
Right.
Ed,
Thank
I would like that to look nice.
I would
as well.
love for it to look nice as well. I think everybody in town would love for it to
So
look nice.
I'm willing to do that.
Okay. Okay, so you,
My only concern here, Ed, is that I'd like to see the scope of what the developer is willing to do. I want to make sure we're not talking past each other and everybody agrees to something. Doesn't have to be a formal contract, but I would like at least it written down.
I'll put it in writing.
Yep, Matt's gonna
I'll
do
direct
this,
it to Ed.
everybody understands what that is, and everybody's good with it, so there's no disagreement on what we're talking about. I would like to see, if possible, some, not just landscaping components, but see if the developer is willing to do some rehab work inside.
Nope.
With that a little bit.
we'll have
Because I
that
think it's got some
discussion.
challenges.
We'll have that discussion. Hold on. We'll let Chase finish.
I think he's done.
I think I'm done.
So I have a question.
Mr. Montanari, love to hear from you.
Well, it's the selectmen's decision of what to do with the house. It was part of the host agreement. It has nothing to do with affordable housing. If he does what he's asking to do, are you gonna take the house and is it gonna be affordable, or is he gonna get it counted? That's what this all boils down to, who gets the house?
And I guess the subtext of what I was saying is that I would be willing to exchange, in exchange for the developer
Getting the house.
doing some substantive improvements to it, I would be willing to give the developer the credit for the affordable unit.
Okay.
But there's a
Not care, custody,
quid pro
control.
quo there.
Yeah,
What?
In
not
my-
Care, custody, and control, be able to count it
as an affordable
as
in
an
his
affordable
development.
unit.
That's right, count it as an affordable unit, not give them the house, but count it in the inventory.
So the town would take it over, and you expect it to be a pretty much moving condition, then if it's gonna be rented as an affordable unit, or is the town gonna finish fixing it? Who's gonna make it rentable? That's, I guess, the point.
That's where I'm confused.
Right, that's.
If we
so-
don't, if it's not made habitable, then why
It
would
is
the
happening,
county?
we just had people move out of the
But
house.
let's just say we, and I may not be understanding this, but let's say we don't grant you that. Then, does that mean, and it doesn't go towards your affordable units, does that mean then that you have to give us another affordable unit elsewhere? Like, what's the, do you see what I'm saying?
If they don't give it as an affordable,
Right.
get it as an affordable unit, they're just gonna give it to the town as
Okay.
is, the way it is. Is that correct?
With no,
With
no
I'm not
improvement.
sure I will give it.
Well, you have to give it, it's
No,
part
I
of
don't.
See, that's what I'm trying to understand.
It's part of your host agreement, you just said it was.
We'll get there.
You have to give it to them. I'm just trying to find out, are we getting a house that's finished and ready to be rented? Or are we getting something, you're gonna throw some grass seed on the front, and are you happy with it? Because I don't want it to come back to us again.
If I
Mr.
can-
DeCoste.
I don't know that I'm gonna answer your question specifically, Mark, but I do wanna make the point that when that house was taken, when we agreed to allow
Them to buy.
MMR or some representative to live in that house from a security basis, and just kind of keep an eye on the development. There was quite an investment put in, I wouldn't be able to quantify it for you, but the house it wasn't in good shape. And
terrible.
they did put an investment into it, plumbing so there was.
Painting floor.
There was an investment put into it.
Trash removal.
Joe and I actually walked through the house, and actually after it was being inhabited, and just prior to it being vacated. And it's not in great shape, but there's other houses in Littleton that I think that are
In worse shape.
in worse shape, that are inhabited right now. So we would, if we sign the deed, because the deed has been executed by Fields, if we sign the deed.
Let me hold on for a minute.
We take possession of it. The HCA states that it'll be a house for Habitats for Humanity, affordable housing through DHCD, I believe, or for other purpose as we see fit. So any one of those could be how we proceed, but if we're able to get something back, driving by there right now is frustrating to a lot of residents to see, the way it looks right now isn't
So
ideal.
if.
So if we do move forward, just let me finish on that. If we take care, custody, and control, and the developer spruces up the place, let's say, it's incumbent upon us, if we're going to put it out there as an affordable unit, to, similar to what we're doing at Robinson, to do something, to bring a contractor in and say, hey, what's it gonna cost to make this something that we could put out
But don't
there
you
for
have to
rent?
pay, may I ask a question this way? Or do I have to ask it to you?
To me, to the
Okay.
chair.
If the town takes custody of the home, and you'll know this better than anybody, will they have to put it out to bid to do this, and will it be at prevailing wages?
It will.
That's stupid.
Well,
Well,
I own a
not,
construction company.
not if we can get you
Well, I'm not gonna
help.
do it for free.
to help us, so let us get to, let us get there.
Okay.
This is
glad
where
you're
the
going in that
conversation,
direction.
this is where the conversation's going.
Okay.
So, if we come up with an agreement with you before we execute the deed, that you will improve the house to building code and Board of Health standards for rental and/or for sale, including exterior sprucing up, fixing broken windows.
With the exception of the septic system.
Would you know what the state of the septic system is currently?
Poor.
Okay.
I could live with that exception.
Yeah, okay. So that, so,
But we-
so if
for
we
those
work
chairs
towards
saying-
this and we come up with a value between you and the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board of, you've already offered landscaping.
Without question.
Okay, so we've got that. Now if we need habitable, building code, Board of Health requirements to make it rentable, you meet those requirements and you spend,
Can I use you as the guiding factor on this?
meaning,
How so?
To come through the house and,
well, I'm not an employee of the town, I'm an elected official, so I can't work in an official capacity as an inspector.
Right.
I'm not asking you to be an inspector, I'm asking you to be a consultant on what you feel. You're in the construction trade.
Yes.
But if the chair is saying what we need is sign off from building inspector, should we have one, and Board of Health, that's going to be essentially an independent.
I understand that, but it's better to have, in my opinion, to have somebody, and I don't care who is the person doing it, but I feel as though,
With my knowledge,
A
would
liaison
be
from the
I would
board
be
to
happy
help
to be a
us.
liaison for the boards to go through and advise the town and you on where we're at and help create a dollar amount of where we need to be.
I'm all in.
And then we just need to figure out how we either pay the developer or either that or other concessions to offset the expense.
No, I don't agree.
Oh, hold on, Chase, go ahead.
Maybe I'm not understanding this. My expectation is that the quid pro quo here is that for it to be counted as an affordable unit, that work is on the developer to do.
Yeah.
That's
course
the
you
only
do.
way that this makes
course you
sense.
do.
Otherwise, frankly, we're breaking state law by circumventing prevailing wage.
With the exception of the septic.
Right, with
certain things you're willing
right, bring it up
Let's
to
just-
habitable standards and do the outside scope of work and landscaping. And then in exchange for that, I would be willing to count it as affordable inventory on behalf of the developer.
So that's one select board member. Are you in agreement, Joe and Chuck, with Chase's statement? Just so that,
If that's how we have
Get
to
there.
get there, then
okay.
And I would be willing to include the subject.
Say that again?
Habitable, so what he just said is that if you supply the house in habitable shape so that we can go ahead and rent it, not excluding the septic system or Title V certification, they're willing to allow it to be counted as an affordable unit,
as determined
It feels
by
like
the chairs.
extortion to me.
as determined by you and I walking through to figure out. And Joe, I mean, you've got background in real estate and as well, so the two chairs can come out, Matt, and walk the site, walk the house with you and make a determination of.
I still feel extorted here. Because that was always our intent to, that was the deal we made with the seller, with the representative of the seller, that was being counted as an affordable unit. And that's,
That's not what the selectmen said. We gotta go by what they're saying, you know.
no, there's two sides, Mark.
You signed a host agreement with them so that the town would not buy the property. You gave X.
No,
amount
Mark,
of-
no,
Yes,
that's
it
not,
was.
that is
That's-
absolutely
Let's not-
not
let's
true.
not go
You did
there.
not have the opportunity to buy the
That-
property.
it-
The
it's
point
just not
is
accurate.
you had an agreement.
That is
with
not
them.
accurate.
They're saying that that's not part of what they perceive the host agreement to be. We're trying to.
I could have waited 6 days, Mark, and avoided all of this, but I live in town, and I did and honored my deal. I could have waited 6 days, and I chose not to.
Thank you, Matt.
If
Mr.
I
DeCosta.
may, the host community agreement that you're referencing, Mark and Matt, bear with me here, hear me out. What we agreed to, based upon Cooper's wishes, the Cooper Trust wishes, was that would, exactly like I just quoted loosely, it was going to be a Habitat for Humanity house, an affordable unit. The
The
town
word
would use it,
affordable,
or-
that was part of our affordable component of the entire project.
Okay, so that was your perception of it, because we didn't, as I started my comments earlier, there were no affordable units counted in the HCA other than the ones on Goldsmith. None of that was discussed.
The house counted.
There's no language
And
in
it
the
always
agreement that
counted
says that.
because it's not age discriminated. The age discrimination doesn't allow those affordables to be counted. That's the component that holds it back.
Okay,
All
so
right, so,
the understanding of the Board of Selectmen at the time that executed the HCA, that house was not counted towards your number. We agreed that we would make it affordable or a Habitat or other use that was seen fit by the town. What we're trying to do now is the quid pro quo. We're trying to say, yeah, we'll let you count that as an affordable unit
If I rehab it.
if you deliver it.
and I think, and that's, if we
And
could,
that's- I mean,
if we
that's
could
one of
narrow
the
the
big
conversation.
Yeah, I think if we
to-
narrow the conversation to habitable, and you have the chair of the select board, the chair of the planning board, and
And then-
yourself on site, go out there and take a look at what that is,
And-
and create a solution from there. We can come back again and say that you know, per our investigation with your input, we can get to an agreeable number that makes that house habitable for rent, for an affordable unit, to be counted in your development. I think that's what we're all trying to get to.
Okay?
And going back to my original point, what I'd like to see there is, when you guys walk it, punch list, everybody agrees. It can be an email exchange, just something so everybody is on the same page
Right.
and we know what that scope is.
Yeah, so broken
And-
kitchen window,
Sure.
fix a threshold, replace a doorknob, whatever those
Or-
are.
But
We'll
I
make that
agree, I think
determination.
that's very important to get an agreement, because we don't quite have consensus on both sides yet on what the developer would be willing to do, and I understand what the board's asking for, and I think we'd like to help get there. I don't know if we can get all of the way there, but maybe if we start by looking at, you know, taking a walk through the property, seeing what is necessary, and you could see if it's doable, or if it's really too much of a burden to be putting onto the developer. I just don't know that yet.
I think that's where the conversation needs to go. So I think we should have that conversation, the three of us, and then report back to our respective boards and come up with it from there. Is that agreeable?
Makes sense.
Is there any other input from my board before we move on?
As long as they're happy, we should vote it in favor. It's their decision.
Right. So we want to put it back to them, and then I'm just consulting as chair, but we'll move it back onto the select board's plate.
I mean, I don't see any need for a formal vote right now. Let's see what the scope, to Jennifer's point, let's see what the scope looks like.
Okay.
And
I will
then
do
I think at that point, we
Continue
would
the
want to
conversation.
take a vote on how we
So
proceed.
we'll continue the conversation, and we'll expect it to be posted on a select board's meeting agenda after we,
Is there a way to sort of wrap this up, as opposed to having another meeting or hearing on it, saying that here, this board is agreeing to the count, provided the select board
Exactly.
accepts it?
We will agree to count that unit as one of your affordable units if you can reach agreement with the selectmen. I think we can.
and you'll have to come back for that vote. Because,
No, we should vote it right
No,
now.
we
can we vote
We can vote that now, and then we'll
Contingent
work
upon
with
that.
them. Yeah, make
Contingent
it-
upon them entering into an agreement with the selectmen that will allow that to count as part of their, we don't have to have another one. Tied enough to get you in this one.
okay. Are you in agreement?
Why are you, why are you concerned about that?
That's what I was gonna say, that's why I'm smirking. You know, Mr. Montanari never wants a contingency, so this time
It's
he's.
not our fight, it's their fight. As long as they're happy with it, we should, as part of the
So
quid
I
pro
think
quo.
fight's the wrong word. I think it's a negotiation. It's their negotiation, but it's up
Okay.
to us to count the affordable unit in the decision. So I'm in favor of counting it as an affordable unit. I have been all along. My issue, I think, is the same as the select board, is we just want to try to get it as something that the town can use as soon as possible for rent as an affordable unit, so. But sure, I'll entertain a motion to accept it as a count on the affordable in the Cooper Farm development. Should it
Once it
help,
passes,
somebody help me with these words, once it's an agreed,
agreed to by
The
the
definition
selectmen.
of habitable is
Once
agreed
the
upon.
selectmen send us a memo that that they have taken possession of it and they're happy with it, then.
With the exception of the septic system.
with the exception of the septic system, we're all in agreement there, okay?
I mean, if you want to throw it in.
Enough quid.
Just a little pipe across the street.
Squid,
All right,
right?
so
We can put in.
that motion, can I get a
So I'll second that. Can you clean that up?
motion and
for us,
second,
Maren?
all in favor?
Aye. So you don't have to
And Maren
go
will
back to
clean up the language that we just
Thank you.
used.
Thank you all.
And Matt, if you want to reach out to me tomorrow.
I do.
and
I
we'll-
will.
We'll set up a time.
I'd like to go out with, who would be you,
Joe.
you, or you?
Joe.
The
The
private
two chairs, the two chairs.
Okay.
All right.
I'm in.
Select board, thank you for coming in today
Thank you.
as well. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All but you.
Thank you.
How are you gonna do that?
Let's go. Come on, Dad.
Where's my crutch?
Me. How are you?
All right, not too bad. 7:20, voter petition, zoning bylaw amendment,
What is petition?
the voters petition to Do you have that, Maren? I don't have that, and I don't have my computer tonight, so I can't read it.
We can't
Maybe,
discuss it.
maybe our clerk could read it, or what the voter petition was.
Okay, so I put up the article based on the voter petition. Just to see if the town will vote to prohibit or further limit the retail sale of marijuana in the town by amending certain provisions of Article 28. So in effect, it would prohibit retail establishments for adult use marijuana in Littleton with the changes that are proposed. So the town has a policy in place to not accept voter petitioned articles closer than 90 days to town meeting. That is to allow the selectmen and the planning board the time to do their due diligence. Selectmen have 2 weeks to forward the petition to the planning board. The planning board now has it about a month before town meeting. Question for the planning board is, do you schedule and when do you if you choose to schedule, when would you like to schedule a public hearing on this issue?
We just,
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, I need to recuse myself from this.
we just set we're having a planning board meeting on October 22nd. Why can't we hear it then?
October 21st, but
October 21st, excuse me. I'm not saying I'm in
That's
favor,
it's your
favor
policy
against it,
direction.
but we might as well, if they got 100 signatures and they went
So,
through
I'm just not in favor of scheduling the public hearing at this point because we're down a member from being recused and we're missing a member. So I feel like we should have at least a 4-member board to have that vote for time to schedule
We
it.
just
So we
have-
wanna, well, we're not sure that Jerry can make October 21st either to participate.
that's a Monday.
He says
Again.
he can attend
He
Mondays.
can on Mondays.
He says he potentially could. We don't know his schedule. He could be traveling on that.
We have a scheduled meeting for the 21st anyway,
So,
That
So
the
why don't
three
we-
of us can be at.
that we can all be at. I think we owe it to the 100 signatures.
I think we owe it to everybody else who voted in favor
They
of the
get to-
original law to
They
have a
get
full
come to
board
town meeting
before
and
us.
decide it on town meeting floor.
Right.
It won't make it to
So,
town meeting floor if we don't at least exercise the right to hear it.
So I intend as chair to exercise the right to have a public hearing to schedule it, but I'd like to have a 4-member board to.
You will have a 4-member board there, Jerry will be there. on
I'm
the
not sure that we will.
20th. At least we tried. What else you gonna do? We tried.
Excuse me, thank
We
you.
have a meeting scheduled, we're only gonna be dealing with one thing on that agenda, and that's the Glavy
Healy Corner.
Corner subdivision. Perfect time to put it on there, let people decide if they want it to go to town meeting or not. And we get to vote whether we want it to go to town meeting or not. Well, you still have the right to deny it once you hear all the pros and cons of it at that public meeting.
I still prefer, so you guys want to make a motion because I'm not going to support scheduling a public hearing at this time.
I think we should, Anna. We're gonna meet anyway. We can assume Jerry's gonna be there. Put it on the agenda and see what happens.
I do think that we should meet before town meeting, so I think the proposal can be heard and has a chance of potentially being heard at town meeting.
Okay?
It will be heard at a town meeting.
What?
It will be heard at a town meeting, it's just a matter of when you guys
Fall,
have your.
town meeting.
Yeah, but obvious, if I can.
Please, Mr. Chair.
I don't, this is my opinion, not the Board of Selectmen's opinion. In my opinion, you have something there, all you're doing is having a hearing. I don't see why you'd want to postpone until after the town meeting coming up. That's just, in my opinion, it's just putting it off. I mean, if you're gonna have 3 or 4 people there, you can still have the hearing.
Right. I say we hear it and see what happens.
My intention is to put it off. That's what I'm trying to do.
But why?
To get it to, because of the legal ramifications that come along with it, so.
We're doing everything within legal right. We're within rights, within our
It's
rights.
legal ramifications.
We're hearing it before town meeting. We didn't hear it before 90, it wasn't posted 90 days, but 100 people signed it, so it's legal.
Those 100 people should have voted when the.
No, you're talking about a vote that
I
already
know,
happened. This is
I know,
about
I
people
know.
that
But
wanna.
if you look at the people that signed it, they didn't vote the first time. Well,
That's not the
that's-
point here. The point here is whether or not you want to hold a public hearing because 100 people put their signatures up. I say we have the meeting.
You
and we
guys
see
make
what
the motion.
I'll make a motion that we include the voters petition for the proposed bylaw amendment. We schedule it for Monday, October 25th,
21st.
21st, whatever the date is, Monday, October 21st, and we advertise it and let people discuss it before town meeting on the 28th.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
So the majority, we're getting smaller majorities these days. So we'll put it on and see what happens. Do we need town council here for this?
Please invite town council for the
But,
public hearing.
yeah, at that point, after the public hearing, the planning board has the opportunity to make a recommendation to town meeting, whether you support or not support, but that doesn't have any legal ramifications on whether or not it actually gets voted on at town meeting. The act of having the public hearing allows town meeting to vote as long as you make a report to town meeting. So that you have the opportunity to report to town meeting or not.
Okay. All right, but we should probably have town council. Okay, are we done?
I'll
That's it.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. Do we have anything else? Wait,
Please.
You asked me before to come and talk about parking for the library.
That's excellent. So, yeah, public input, we'll definitely put it to the front because we had time, and
Oh,
we'll move it back to the back, so we'll,
I
excellent.
was at another meeting.
Mhm.
So, here's,
Yeah, hold on, Mark, let me just get the Lisa back in here real quick.
Thank you.
so, for those who don't know, I'm Mark Rambacher, Chair of the Library Trustees.
Mark, if I can, just so we can get our other member back in, that'd be great. Appreciate your patience.
If I would have known you were doing part, I could have been here at 6:30. I'll pull up my cheat sheet. So there's been questions about the library project and how the parking works and so on and so forth. So the current plan within the scope of what is being proposed inside of our budget is the addition of 16 parking spaces, which will be over by the tennis courts. There are currently 129 spaces in this lot. So the total with the lot would be 145.
Okay.
We get extra lead points by doing shared parking and better parking utilization and that. So the architect put together this spreadsheet that I gave you that shows how they think these show the overlap of hours between what the library, the town hall, and the council on aging use the building to show that of the hours during the week, there's only actually 13 hours that all three departments are open at the same time. So they're expecting to get a pretty good reuse of the parking area. The architect has also said that according to their evaluation of the parking lot, you could add islands and restripe the lot and get 166 parking spaces, so a net 43. Or if you did it without islands, you could get 172 spaces, so a net of 49 additional spaces. Those numbers aren't in our current project scope, just 16 additional spaces, which will all be basically by the tennis courts.
Gotcha. In the original document that was submitted, that we approved for you to send out for your grant application, how many spaces were in that?
I think it was the 140, I think it was in the 140s, but I don't know the exact number. I can find that out.
Okay.
So,
I just want to make sure we line the documents up to say,
Yep.
this is where we were, this is where we're at now. This
yeah,
is
I
it.
don't think the plan originally was restriping. I mean, there was nothing in restriping the entire lot as part of what we were budgeting for. Part of that should be, contingent on, the completion of the space needs and what's going to actually happen with this building, right? So I think we're getting,
I think it's reasonable. I just wanted to, I just want to get the documentation.
I can,
correct.
I do not know the number off, but I can find out the number from
Do you
those.
know it, Mara, by any chance? She's
Think I'm
digging.
putting it now.
Mhm.
Obviously, we will be in front of you in shortly, in after town meeting with, you know, as the project progresses, we're at 80%.
So we can continue this conversation in the
Yeah.
meantime, Mara, and you can dig that up and we can, you don't have to do it now with the
Yes.
connection that you don't have to the.
We're in design development stage. I think the documents are like 80% complete, is what
Awesome.
I've heard.
I look forward to seeing them. Really do.
So,
Exciting.
Thank you.
And the only, I think, other real, the other major addition is redoing the fire road, right? That's now part of the scope of the project, so.
It is.
It is in our budget right now.
Okay.
At about 125 grand, I think was the
Okay.
scope. So that was a requirement of the fire department, so.
Okay, awesome. Mark, thank you for the update. I appreciate you sticking around and coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Nina, any business before we make a motion to adjourn? Thank you. I'll entertain that motion again, Mark.
I'll second it.
Real quick, okay. Mark, the 5G, you had mentioned previously that we needed to have a meeting in October with the Lake Department, with 5G reps.
No, I thought
They're available in November.
we pushed it back a little bit because it's,
Okay.
I don't think there's a smoking gun there like this yet, and we do need to.
Okay, November it is, thanks.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we
Good night,
recycle?
everybody.
Good night. Do we
Delisa,
recycle good?
delete, we hit the switch.
Oh, yes.